Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I just started the Wisconsin versus Montana game over on TNT, so we're following the big game, big day of hoops with March Madness. A story that came out yesterday that people have been following for a little while, ever since Lex Luger was named to be going into the WWE Hall of Fame, is that Sting doesn't feel like he's going to be able to do Lex Luger's induction speech at the Hall of Fame because of his deal with AEW. Now, I know a lot of people out there will remember WrestleMania 28. WWE wanted to induct the Four Horsemen into the WWE Hall of Fame. They ended up putting Tully, they put Flair, they put Arn Anderson into the Hall of Fame. And at the time, Ric Flair was under contract to TNA Wrestling. It was kind of a weird year. At WrestleMania 28, they still had a lot of names on the table that they could put in. Why they decided that was the year they wanted to put Ric Flair in when he was working for another company, I'm not quite sure. But this has been touched on by a lot of different podcasts that are out there today. Bruce Pritchard, something to wrestle with. He was working with TNA at the time, and basically he took the call for Dixie Carter from WWE, and they worked out a talent exchange in order for Ric Flair to be able to go and do the Hall of Fame, do the speech, and then they were able to get Christian Cage to show up to a TNA pay-per-view, not to wrestle, just basically to do a promo, saying how great TNA was and how cool it was to work there. There was a lot of stories buzzing around at the time, basically that you know Christian really didn't want to do it. He did it because he had to. It wasn't like something that like he really had emotion for. It didn't really make sense. But I remember as a wrestling fan, the night that Christian turned up on TNA to do their Slammiversary, I believe is what it was. It was a big deal. I mean, I remember at the time that there was an open challenge for Crimson, who had an undefeated streak in TNA that had gone for a pretty damn long time. He was pretty much going out there and looking like Goldberg, and a lot of people were wondering if Christian was going to go out there and answer the call. It ended up being James Storm, who I think defeated him that night. But so there is a pact in place. Now, the war between WWE and AEW, I believe it is real. I mean, you have WWE announcing that they're going to be going and doing shows, and then you have, AEW, setting up shows in the same place days before. WWE has done this to them countless amounts of times. When AEW is running a special, all of a sudden NXT pops up with a special show. They seem to like be counteracting each other back and forth. And, Tony Khan has made statements about, WWE contacting wrestlers about the trying to get out of their contracts, trying to be released. When is your contract up? Basically contract tampering. And Tony says that he's got a lot of money. He has no problem going to court. And, we've really never seen anything come out of that. But, we've seen, some people go from AEW to WWE. We've seen people go from WWE to AEW once they're released. All in all, I think the WWE Hall of Fame is a good thing. I think that it's not must-see television. I've watched a few of them on TV. I've gone back and watched a few on the WWE Network. I had a chance to go to a few, and it's a real special event to feel like you're a part of something, even though I think that they are... it's a hard word to say. It's a hard word to think of, but I think they're bastardizing the WWE Hall of Fame. The tickets that they were charging. I know that if you go to the WWE Hall of Fame, you don't have to have a floor ticket. You don't have to have a meet and greet with Triple H and Lex Luger. You don't have to do that. You can just get a seat to go into the building, pay your $300. But to charge $8,000, I understand it. I know why they're doing it. I just don't get it. I mean, you're just pricing people out of things that they believe that they really want to go to. You look it up on the calendar. The Cauliflower Alley Club that meets in Las Vegas. There's a ton more famous wrestlers that are there that you can get shoulder to shoulder with and pay not even a fraction of the price. It is just WWE doing it because they are WWE. Now, when it comes down to it, I really want to believe at the end of the day, Tony Khan is a businessman, but he is a wrestling fan deep down in heart. I believe that he really does know the friendship of Sting and Lex Luger. I mean, these guys, they were pretty much neighbors. They were friends on the road. They were pretty much business partners with the gyms that they opened in the Atlanta area at the time they were living there when WCW was going strong. I understand that they probably have a backup plan. If they're not able to get Sting to do the Hall of Fame speech, more than likely Ric Flair will do it. Ric Flair, he's not a contracted WWE guy. He's gone in, he's done AEW things lately. But there has to be something that could be worked out, even if it's not a wrestler for wrestler talent exchange. I mean, just putting AEW up on the screen when Sting is making his entrance. Maybe even put it on the screen behind them. This is not Vince McMahon's company. It is not Vince McMahon versus Tony Khan. It's not even Triple H versus Tony Khan. This is a TKO company. I believe that they could work something out. And it doesn't even have to be, hey, don't put wrestling shows on when my wrestling shows are on. I think it just, can be some sort of friendly exchange in order to do this. Just if Lex Luger is going into the WWE Hall of Fame and they are finally going to do it, he should be able to get almost anybody who's living to be able to do his speech. And Sting doing it would be awesome. If I have some dream things in the back of my mind, like let's say they do a talent exchange, think of like AJ Styles, who has no allegiance to AEW. Was able to show up. I mean, that would be one hell of a thing. They could ask for Shinsuke Nakamura to show up and do something with Kenny Omega for one night, and you could think that Nakamura's on like the back end of his career, but he was just United States champion, so it's not like they're giving him the Brooklyn Brawler or anything like that. But I don't know. It hasn't been announced one way or another. We're still, roughly 30 days out from WrestleMania. So we're probably 29 days away from the Hall of Fame, which the time that they're doing it is just crazy. The way that they're kind of just throwing things at the wall for WrestleMania this year to find out how much money, the wrestling fans have and how much the wrestling fans are willing to spend. I mean, they're just like they just recently came out with the roast of WrestleMania with the guy from that podcast that was on the Tom Brady roast. They're just like, maybe they'll pay for that. Maybe they'll pay for that. Maybe they'll pay for that. It's just beyond the point of crazy. I would love to go to another WrestleMania somewhere in my lifetime, but at this point, it almost seems like WrestleMania is going to be for the rich and the famous. It's not going to be for the common man to be in attendance. They're just gonna have to find some way to figure out. But this isn't about that. It's about Lex hopefully being able to get Sting to do the Hall of Fame. And honestly, if I had to make a bet, if there was any place that I could go on all of these, gambling apps that I see on commercials as I flip around watching March Madness. If I could bet one of them that Sting is at the Hall of Fame, we already know that he's going to be in Las Vegas. He's doing WrestleCon. He's showing up Saturday as Wolfpack Sting. He's showing up Sunday as the Crow NWO Sting, I guess you could say. I was joking with WrestleCon, asking him like, "Hey, if we can sell out those two, can we get Surfer Sting Friday?" I mean, that's probably a meet and greet that I think a lot of fans would want to be able to get, one last time, especially this last year of him doing the face paint. We know Flair's going to be at WrestleMania because of Charlotte. We know that he's going to be there because he's doing the meet and greet at WrestleCon, with Fittermans, something close to that. So I'm not quite sure, but I really hope, Lex is finally getting into the Hall of Fame. It was a long wait for him to be able to do that. He stopped wrestling in 2002. He roughly, there's no other way to say this, although I know that I'm saying this the wrong way. He got back on his feet roughly somewhere around 2004, 2005. WWE should have found a way to put him in the Hall of Fame. And I really believe that one of the reasons that they didn't do it is because they really ran that piece on him about Miss Elizabeth and her death on that confidential show. And they didn't want to come off as like hypocrites, I guess you can say. But, hey, I got my fingers crossed. I'm not going to be at the Hall of Fame. I don't have it on my plan of events. I haven't bought a ticket. I did look at tickets. But I want to be able to see it on Peacock. I want to see Sting and Luger standing up there one more time.